EnglishMe Podcast, Episode 1. Why Most English Learners Stay Stuck. Hello and welcome to EnglishMe, your English, your future. Let me ask you a question. Have you been learning English for years, but you still feel nervous when you speak? Maybe you've studied English at school. Maybe you've watched hundreds of videos. Maybe you've memorized grammar rules, and yet, when someone suddenly asks you a question in English, your mind goes completely blank. If that has happened to you, don't worry. Today, we're going to talk about why so many English learners stay stuck for years, and how you can finally start making real progress. The biggest myth. Many people believe that becoming fluent means learning more vocabulary, more grammar, more rules, more exercises. But here's something surprising. I've met learners who know thousands of English words, and I've met learners who know only a few hundred. Yet sometimes, the learner with fewer words speaks better. Why? Because English is not only knowledge. English is a skill. Think about riding a bicycle. You can read 10 books about bicycles. You can watch 100 videos. You can learn every rule. But until you get on the bike, you won't learn how to ride. English works exactly the same way. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I met a student who had been studying English for almost 10 years. 10 years. He knew grammar, he knew vocabulary, he passed tests. But one day I asked him a very simple question. What did you do last weekend? He froze. He smiled nervously. And then he said, I know the answer, but I can't say it. That sentence stayed with me. I know the answer, but I can't say it. And that's exactly where many learners get stuck. They know English, but they don't use English. The first mistake he made, he was learning without using. Many learners spend hours consuming English, watching, reading, listening, collecting information. But they spend very little time producing English, speaking, writing, thinking, responding. If you want to improve, you need both, input and output, learning and using, knowledge and action. Another mistake he made was being afraid of mistakes. This is one of the biggest problems in language learning. People are afraid of sounding stupid, afraid of being judged, afraid of making grammar mistakes. So they stay silent. But let me ask you something. How did you learn your first language? Did you speak perfectly as a child? Of course not. You made mistakes every day, and nobody expected perfection. The same is true for English. Let me tell you another story. I remember a learner who constantly apologized before speaking. Every sentence started with, Sorry, my English is bad. Sorry, my English isn't good. Sorry, I make many mistakes. One day, I stopped him, and I said, Why are you apologizing? You are speaking English right now. You are communicating. You are learning. Months later, that same learner became one of the most confident speakers in the group. Not because his English became perfect, but because he stopped being afraid. Don't do this mistake. Don't wait for motivation. Many learners say, I'll start tomorrow. I'll practice when I have more time. I'll study when I feel motivated. But motivation comes and goes. Successful learners don't depend on motivation. They depend on habits. 10 minutes a day, every day, even when they don't feel like it. Imagine two learners. The first learner studies for 5 hours on Saturday, then does nothing for the rest of the week. The second learner studies for 15 minutes every day. Which learner will improve faster? Most people think it's the first one, but usually it's the second, because language learning is like exercising. Consistency wins. Small daily actions are powerful. What successful learners do differently. Successful learners don't ask, "How can I learn English quickly?" They ask, "How can I make English part of my life?" They listen while walking. They read while waiting. They think in English. They write simple sentences. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They start now. Here is a final message for you. If you've been feeling stuck, I want you to remember something. You do not need perfect English. You need courageous English. You need English that grows, English that improves, English that gets a little better every day. Don't compare yourself to fluent speakers. Compare yourself to the person you were last month. If you're better today than you were yesterday, you're already succeeding. Challenge of the Week. Before our next episode, I want you to do one simple thing. Speak English for 5 minutes. Not tomorrow, today. Talk to yourself. Record your voice. Describe your day. Tell a story. Anything. Just speak. Because improvement begins when English leaves the page and enters your life. Thank you for listening to EnglishMe. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and join our growing community of English learners around the world. And remember, your English, your future. See you in the next episode.